Hello everyone. In today's video, I'm going to create a collage inspired by this book by Rex Ray, interpreted in my own particular color scheme, which is largely neutral. I worked on this yesterday on camera, and when I went to bed last night, I thought it was done. Nope, it's not done. I don't know what it needs, but it needs something. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this collage. I'm going to add some stuff to it. At the very end, I'm going to do some pen work, which I enjoy doing. And if you'd like to do that with me, then let's hang out. So I am back with Rex Ray again today, and I've actually never left him because I haven't stopped thinking about him since I posted my last video about a week ago. So what you're looking at here is my next inspiration, which is this collage in neutral colors that are very simple shapes and cutouts. And I'm going to try to do something on this nature. There's a couple pages of these. Just simple dark background, which has inspired me to destroy an old piece of art so that I've got a background to collage on today. So there's that. Actually, I think that's probably it. Those 2 pages are kind of my inspiration for today, which is to work with some simple shapes and see what kind of fun piece of collage art I can make out of simple shapes. Okay, so I mentioned in an earlier video, I think my last video, that I had played around with some of these cutout shapes in the past. Let me show you what I did last night while I was listening to YouTube videos. I did these. I actually like these. I like the surprise of these having mostly neutral colors with this little splash of red. So these in particular make me happy. So that's kind of, I don't know, maybe where I'm thinking of going, where I'll go with neutral colors and maybe add a little splash of something else. This is what I did last night. Just these little cutouts. And I think it's really interesting the way the negative shape behind there creates a whole other shape. These are things that I did. I don't have dates on these, but I'm pretty sure it was at least maybe a couple of years ago, playing around with these magazine shapes, cutting them out of magazines and gluing them down, and just seeing what kind of interesting things come of it. Like this one in particular, I really like the way this little skinny thing turns into those tall things. Look at how pretty this negative shape is there. And I'll show you the piece that it was actually a collage of my grandparents that I painted over them because I can make them anytime, and I need something I need something to play with now. So this is the collage that I created, I don't know, maybe in 2020 when I first started playing around with this. This is actually a junk piece of art from Hobby Lobby. I paid $3 for this canvas, and I mostly just wanted the canvas. It looked like leopard skin or zebra print or something like that. But the plan is, I'd like to collage over this. There may be too much pattern, so I might find that I'm going to need to perhaps collage over some of this stuff to give me the ground that I'm looking for, because what I'd like to see happen is something fairly solid that won't distract me from creating something like this. All right, what I have here is a pile of prints that I made with my friend Cindy. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? A different Cindy. I have 2 Cindys, and they're both creatives, and I'm so lucky because I make a lot of pretty stuff when I'm just busy talking to somebody and kind of teaching them some things that I've learned about art as I've gone along the way. And I'm just going to, as I look at this group, these are all botanicals, which is not what I particularly had in mind. but they're lovely, and I think that once I chop them up, look at that colorway, that's going to work. Any of these oranges are already built into that. I'm going to, I think once I chop them up, I don't think it's going to really matter what color they are. These are just some roll-off sheets, which I don't know if you've seen me before, you know that I'm a big fan of roll-off sheets. This is just some pine from the woods nearby my house. So these feel, out of the bucket, these feel appropriate in terms of colorway for where I want to go. So even though they don't 100% match what I have in my mind, I think I'm going to go with them anyways. Hold everything. All right. I'm just going to start in that upper right-hand corner. And I'm going to cut a shape out of here. And most likely follow the process I've used for those collages that I showed you at the beginning of the video, because I don't know, it doesn't seem as scary. I act like making art is something that can kill you. I'm always talking about how scary it is. Here, this can't be in view. It must not be in view. I will work to make sure that you guys can actually see it. All right, so I'm going to glue that down there. And try to do this. Can you see my head? I'll find out during recording. I mean, during editing. All right, well, that noise is annoying. I'm going to have to figure out how to get rid of that. Probably as I'm gluing, I can talk. Yeah, that's a crapshoot with me as well. Sometimes I just need to focus on what I'm doing until I get into some sort of groove. So you'll remember this is the piece that I just cut out of there. So I cut a shape out of it. And now I'm going to glue that facing the hole I just cut out of. I don't need to tell you that. You guys can see. All right, so this is actually going to be a very quiet start because this doesn't really look like anything at all. But I'm going to glue this down here, which will disguise that botanical. This botanical is printed on deli paper, and deli paper is, it can take it. It can take a beating. You know what? It's a start. It kind of disappears into the background, but maybe that's how this is going to go. Maybe I'm going to put down a background, and then I'm going to collage over that and get other results. Can you hold that from bumping? Ha! Listen to that, guys. No bumping. Okay. What's kind of cool about this concept so far, even my just getting started, for someone who's new at collage and they're trying to figure out how it works, is that I don't know if you can do this wrong. You know, you're cutting out shapes. You saw me, I started out with a piece of rectangular paper. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to cut this out so I can have that color block. Look at how pretty that color looks with it. And this is like burnt sienna and possibly raw umber kind of mixed together. I had started out with Cindy kind of going through, she wanted to make gifts. Look at that. All right, I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to do what I've been doing, which is just cutting out shapes. Let me just do what I've been doing. Anyways, I showed her a notebook and she said, "Oh, I like those colors." So we we pulled those out, and that's what we worked on. Okay. So that's going to go there. Watch how easy this is, guys. Cut that out of here. Now, I'm going to go through and cut out another thing, which will go there. This will go here, but I want to just cut out one more little hoobity-ha. Oh, this is fun. So the glue that I'm using, because people do ask, is, I don't have it in the bottle any longer. It is Liquitex Matte Gel Medium. And it is just kind of thicker. It doesn't dry completely clear. It dries kind of a little bit cloudy. But it does the job. And I like it, you know, when I'm trying to be controlled like this. I didn't use it at all. When I did that Rex Ray collage, I did not use the matte gel. I just squirted it all over the place, and I used liquid. Very cool. Okay, definitely more noticeable than the one I put up last. But I'm suspecting that this is going to end up being like a base layer. And maybe I'll put things over it. We'll see. I don't really know where this is going to go. But I can tell you that I'm enjoying myself right now. Okay, well this is a yummy thing. Look at that yummy thing. Let me get rid of the bright white and get down to some of the painterly stuff. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm not going to be self-conscious about it. I'm just going to keep doing it. So I wanted to tell you guys that the last piece of art that I made with your help, which was my Rex Ray inspired collage, I have had someone offer to purchase that from me. And I am very not excited about selling it. It's not about the money, and it's more about the idea of something that I made that I had a really fun time making. Having it hanging in their house or their office or, you know, wherever it ends up living. Sometimes it's in all of those places. And the idea that something that I made would be enjoyed like that. I've sold prints of my stuff before, you know, my digital stuff. But I've never really sold an actual piece of physical art. And I'm very excited about the idea of it living in someone's house and not being in a stack in my closet or underneath the bed or underneath the couch. I've got a lot of stuff hidden underneath the couch and underneath my bed. Some of these are going to be fun on here, guys. I think the black and white, wow. Black and white for now. Now this stuff doesn't cut well on the paper cutter. And it also doesn't cut well with my scissors because I abuse my scissors and they don't really like to cut paper at all. So we're going to see how this goes. Oh. Make a liar out of me. That cut like butter. Just like butter. Maybe it's too busy? Okay, this is not yet. Oh. You know what this is, guys? When I made that Rex Ray collage the other day, before I finally settled on color, I played with this over and over again because I really, really wanted to use it on the collage, but none of the papers that I painted with it worked. But it does work here. And I like that it brings a little bit of teal into this so it doesn't get so monochromatic. So let me just decide which of the two ways this is going to go. I actually like that. So, okay, it's going down. Boy, look at me making decisions. So this is going to go here, and that will tell me where that's going to go. And I am going to switch things up and go with some liquid. And we'll find out if I regret that in a little while. It's just a little easier to spread when I've got these larger areas, which I have to tell you, even this canvas is large for me, but it's not as large as 24 by 36. So the nice thing about this is I kind of got spoiled making that collage because, you know, I was able to like really spread out, spread my wings, which is what I thought I was doing on the 11 by 14s, but I found that I really enjoyed that big canvas. I've always wanted to work large, but have not, because I don't know what to do large. But these things seem to like to be large. Okay, this is a double thick. This is it's a piece of newsprint with collages on top of it. I might find that this is too thick for this watery glue. Maybe I'm going to do a combination. Come here, you. So, you know, one of the things that you probably noticed about me if you're around at all is sometimes I start a story and I never finish it. Or I stop in the middle of a sentence and I never finish that. And you know what I often have to do? Because I'm such a space shot, I often have to stand up on my chair, turn off the video, send it to my desktop so that I can remember. This is so sad, guys. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. So I can stand up and remember. I can't even say what I'm saying. So I can remember what I was talking about so I can resume the story, which is probably going to happen with this. Okay. Now, let's, maybe I'm going to just, let's do this. We'll get paint on the back of this, kind of glopping it on. Okay, this is going down nice. That's going down pretty good. All right, I put this out in the sun for a little while to get it to dry, and I can already tell I don't regret this collage that I just put on top of it, but it's kind of done a number on my solid background over which I can collage, but that doesn't mean it's over. I'm going to sort through papers and be quiet. been futzing around off camera, and why not be futzing around on camera? So I've glued this thing down here. Sorry for the sound. Glued this thing down here. This needs to be quieted. Now I can see that I've put it here. It's quite loud, and it's just busy for a background. So I'm trying to isolate some shapes that I might find interesting if, you know, like I like the way that this little bit of teal comes out of here. This might be too much pattern, but maybe if I cut it again and put the other loop in, let's just try it. Let's just do it. Let's take this stripe off. This is just a piece of packaging from when I bought a stamp online, a stencil online, and I just drew on it with paper. I mean with a Posca pen. So that's going to go like that. See, this might be getting too busy, but I won't know. I won't know unless I actually try it. Move those over. And then that. This is so fancy. You guys see what's happening here? This is not hard. I don't think this is going to, oh, it's from Jungles. This is not going to be hard to learn how to use, I don't think. Because this is, these are just shapes. I think anybody can do these shapes. I don't think they're going to be hard. I think this is something that even you guys that say that you are just starting out collage, or you're just, you know, don't really feel confident in your collage, I think that this is something that could be easily interpreted by anyone of any skill. And really what your goal is as an artist, if you're new, but maybe even if you're not, is to learn your materials, learn your tools. This is gluing down pretty easy. Learn your materials, learn your tools, so that the next time you go to make something, you get closer to making something that you get excited about. It makes you feel like you've accomplished something. It's a little grayish. Okay, I've cut out this piece of gray, which I'm just going to glue down there. I'm just going to glue it right here. And this is tissue, so I'm going to have to be gentle with this. This is just Hobby Lobby tissue paper. But I like how see-through it is. I would have probably preferred it if I hadn't cut away, but it doesn't matter. It's so subtle. All right, I just wanted to quiet that down. So there's some interesting things happening here. I don't quite know what's going to happen next. I'll tell you what I like about this. See how plain that is? You can see the shapes, but it's not busy. And I do like that. Okay, I just did this, and then I put these little teeth back in that I cut out, and I don't know if that was a good decision or not. But what I need right now, I need a sticky paintbrush with glue on it so I can pick up and put down those little tooth-like things. But they can go over here for now, which gives me Look at that, guys. That's not wrong. I'm really just winging it here, guys. I don't know if I ever told you guys about my business, Museware Pottery, but I feel like all of a sudden I feel like telling you about it. So it has a history. Let me tell you how I even got into business, because I like telling this story. I was a kitchen designer for 12 years at a company that I really, really liked working at. My boss, Frank, he was a guy that I liked so well. I never wanted to disappoint him. I never wanted to let him down. I always wanted to do my best job working for him. I really held him in very high regard. Anyways, he one day asked me to work differently, to spend more time selling kitchens than designing kitchens, which I agreed to do, but I also knew it was the kiss of death. The part of the reason I had lasted so long in kitchen design, because I thought that was a concession. I didn't realize it was going to be a much more fulfilling experience than working for angry men in interior design. Angry men and angry women. All right. This is going here before I start thinking about it. Anyways, so I ended up leaving. And I ended up leaving for a couple of reasons. Part of it was because of that. That was certainly did take the joy out of my process. But I also had a problem son. My son was in grade school then, and I was constantly getting called by the principal to tell me that he'd done something that they didn't like. I don't know if I'm going to, yeah, just do it, here. And I would be called out of work. And I did some pretty high-end kitchen design, so being called out of work in the middle of a $50,000 kitchen renovation wasn't popular. So I knew that my days of working for someone were numbered. I knew that I needed my own gig so that when my son needed me, I could go without jeopardizing my job. So I ended up, my first job was actually with one of my kitchen clients. I had a kitchen client named Ricky. A beautiful girl, prettiest smile you've ever seen in your life. And I did a really outstanding kitchen for her, and that's not going to stay. Her and her husband, Michael. And while I was at her house, I saw that she had these beautiful, where am I going? Here. She had these beautiful hand-painted canisters. And I asked her if they were Droll Design. I don't know if any of you guys remember Droll Design. They went out of business. Anyways, and she said no. They were Ricky. They were hers. She had designed them, painted them. And it turned out it was a business model called Paint Your Own Pottery. And I didn't know when, but I knew that one day I was going to have one of those. So I ended up deciding I was going to start my paint your own pottery business. When I told Ricky about it, she said, I want to do it too. Okay. When I look at, his videos are a just cacophony of incredible things to look at. But what has my attention right now are these little teal, I don't know how much you can see, these little teal flowery things right here. because what I feel like this collage needs, let me put this off camera. What I feel like this collage needs, first of all, it needs contrast. I did accomplish that in a couple of places, but they're very isolated. This feels really busy. There's a lot of things about this I like. I kind of regret this little zigzag thing, but whatever. I'm sure I can be covered it up. I did off camera, I have some gold paint that I have in a little tiny squirt bottle that takes days to dry. So I put some little gold dots on here just to, I don't know, just to make myself happy. But I feel like what this needs in order to wake it up so that it's not so dark and so kind of mysterious looking is possibly some maybe less linear, more, look at how he's kind of taken these off that solid vertical line that he likes to use. And so that's what I think I'm going to play around with today. I feel like I'm going to overlay some things here, bring them up into here, maybe try to quiet this down a little bit. That's the plan. So I let my kitchen client Ricky know that I wanted to start a paint your own pottery business, and she wanted in, and it was a really good combination because she had money and I had creativity. We decided to do that. We decided to go into business together. She was the mom of young boys and I was the mom of a young boy, and we just decided that we were gonna pool our resources. I'm doing my head again. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna pool our resources, our talents, and that's what we did. So what the fun thing about, so we ended up calling the Paint Your Own Pottery business You're Fired, which was taking place when Donald Trump had that show where he was firing everybody. And there was a little bit of ruckus about the name, like we weren't allowed to do it, or we weren't allowed to use it or something like that. But you know, it's not, you can try to, I think he at the time wanted to copyright the name, but anyways, we called it You're Fired. There were two of them. Actually, it started out with just one, and then a year later we opened up a second, and a year after that we opened up a third. And into my third year, I started to recognize that I did not enjoy owning a paint your own pottery studio. Our primary business, I don't know, like thing that we did was we had birthday parties for kids. And I would come in the morning after a party and I'd find a piece of chocolate cake on the floor covered with ants. And I remember, you know, be on my hands and knees scraping chocolate cake off the floor, ants crawling over it. And I started to realize that I wasn't really having that much fun. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be, well, this is the misconception for a lot of creative businesses. I thought I was going to sit around and paint pottery all day long. And oh, that's not how any of this goes. You don't sit around and do anything all day long. What you do is you work, you clean, you organize, you market, you website, you do all those things. But part of the reason why I decided that I was going to do this was because of my son, Neil. I was constantly being called away by school for his misadventures. And I needed to be able to go. I needed to be able to just say, listen, I got to go. So what I ended up doing was we had a kiln room. We had 3 quite large pottery kilns, and I ended up putting a little bed in there for him so that when I had to pick him up from school because he was causing ruckus, which was regularly, I had a place to put my little 10-year-old boy with a book or a video game, because they had the Pac-Man games and stuff like that back then. So 3 years in, like I said, I became a little disillusioned and thought, this is not exactly what I had in mind. What I had in mind, I need to pull this closer to me so I don't get my head in. If my head's been in, guys, I'm really sorry. I have some vision limitations that can make my artwork a little challenging, but I'm doing my best here. Anyways, so I actually really like where this is going. So 3 years in, I realized that my fate was running a retail store, and I was not enjoying it. I wanted to be a creative. I wanted to, really, Cherie? I wanted to create my own stuff. And I had really taught myself how to paint pottery by owning that store. So I approached my business partners and I said, look, this is not for me. I'm not enjoying myself. Would you be interested in buying me out? And they said yes. So they did. And I started a company called Museware Pottery, M-U-S-E-W-A-R-E, Museware Pottery. And I used the process that I learned to create my own designs. And since I didn't know how to sell my stuff, I found a magazine, something like Ceramics Today or something like that. I put an ad in with some pictures. And the next thing I know, I was in business. I'm selling wholesale, which I did not think of or plan, or I didn't have any idea where the business was going to go. I just knew I was going to do it. And I have to tell you, the noise that everybody made in my life, all of my mentors and stuff, were just not happy with me. They thought I was reckless. They thought it's the worst time. This is in 2005. Worst time in the world to start a business. It's always the worst time in the world to start a business, guys. You just start the business. You just make a decision and you do it, and you rise to the challenges that come. You just do it. Kind of like my YouTube channel, I had no freaking idea what I was doing when I started it, but I did it anyways, and I'm very happy that I did, and I'm enjoying myself. And maybe I could have done it more thoughtfully or any of those kinds of things, but I didn't, and I don't regret it. I just am enjoying myself. So, Museware Pottery started, and when it first started, like with any business, I have to do something there to make those visible. Like any business that you do, that's new, you don't really know who you are. I did everything alone. I came up with all the process for how we were going to, there wasn't even a we at the time, how I was going to make my pottery, what the designs were going to look like. It was all very experimental, very fun, very experimental. And I ended up hiring a couple of what I call production painters. So the biggest thing that I was doing was mugs, lots and tons of mugs. And I ended up hiring a couple of girls to help me make those mugs, because I got picked up by a mail order catalog. I don't know how they found me, but they did. And they wanted volume. They wanted hundreds of mugs at the same time. It was called Female Creations. And eventually I ended up hiring Nicole. And Nicole worked for me for 17 years. She's the only reason, honestly, besides my tenacity, she's the only reason I lasted as long as I did, because she was a hard worker. She was willing to do whatever it took to get the job done. She was very, very good at what I call faithfully reproducing my designs. I used to tell people who I hired, this looks like a creative business. It's not. You are hired to faithfully reproduce my designs exactly the way that they are created. And you don't bring any creativity to the table other than you enjoy using your hands to create something. So Museware Pottery ended up becoming quite successful. We did really well. We had a lot of stores. We had a couple of hundred. We didn't own the stores. We had stores who carried our product. It was very gratifying. So to close my story about my business, it's been closed for, Nicole closed it a year, almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in May that it's been closed completely. And when Nicole had to close it because she couldn't get supplies, the whole, they talk about a broken supply chain. Yeah, that was that was part of the big plan. She just got back from Arizona. And we've had a couple of years of a break from one another after working together for almost 20 years. She was our first manager at You're Fired, and she was my production manager at Museware Pottery. So now we're talking again. Not that we ever stopped, but we're talking about business. We're talking about business. And I have to tell you, we are both very, very excited about what's in the pipeline. And a lot of it has to do with you guys. I need black again. I want it to be dark, so I'm using a lot of paint. And looky, look at this. It's not new, but it might as well be. There's a project. I soaked it in Murphy's oil soap overnight. All right, guys, I have come to the end of what I know to do with this piece, and just made myself some toast and tea, and I let this sit in front of the space heater, and I think it's still dampish in the background, but I think it is dry enough to allow me, let me just make sure you can see, here's this bottom and here's the top. I'm pretty sure you can see all of that. So I can see all kinds of things that I would do differently, but I'm new at this whole process, so naturally I can see that I'm going to want to close off some of that space with a black magic marker somehow. These leaves, these little petals of whatever they are, need some definition. I'd like to define what are stylized leaves here. This honestly doesn't need anything more. It's already busy enough. And for some reason, I feel like this could benefit by having contrast to break up these spaces, maybe wide stripes, I don't know. So the next phase of what's going to happen on this video is I'm going to go into pen work, which means that you'll get to listen to my brother Russell play guitar. And I will speed this up because if you know anything about pen work, it takes a long time. And just as a disclaimer, mostly for myself, so I can hear myself say this, I have a tendency to rush through the pen work. Part of the reason for that is I can't get close enough to this work with my vision limitations to really see what I'm doing. So I'm trying to do it from a distance. So there may be times when my head is in the way, and I will do the best that I can to keep it out, but I just need to bring some of these things just a little bit closer to my eyes, specifically this period. I mean, this area here. So I'll tell you, this is another fun thing. This feels like a direction I can play with. And even though it's inspired by Rex Ray, and there are some elements that look like Rex Ray, this doesn't look like a Rex Ray at all. This looks like something I would do. I mean, the way I cut my things out and the way I lay them out, you know, and I think you'll find this if you play with this direction as well. It's only from you. Even when I cut out my own things and it's painted on the back side, I don't like to use them because they're skewed in the wrong direction. They don't look like they came from me. So what am I going to use? I have this collection of what are called Posca pens. I have only really ever used a black pen, and this one's dead. I mean, it doesn't have any paint in it at all. This is either white or off-white. So those are the colors that I use. But there are some areas in here that might benefit from a little bit of tone on tone. I don't know. I haven't seen what these colors look like on top of things, so I don't know. But I've got some greens, and I've got some teals, and I've got oranges and reds, and we're just going to play with those. I'm also going to use my favorite, and I always stick them in the same jar, like I'm going to be able to find them again. These are called Signo, Uniball Signo, and I'm very fond of black, white, and gold. I do have silver, but for some reasons, pardon me, some reason silver doesn't float my boat, so I rarely use it. I also have these, which are two different kinds of, I think they're water-based markers. It's called a brush marker. This one's Master's Touch, which I think you get at either Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And the other brand, I must like it, it's got a rubber band around it. The other brand is Statler. And they come with a fine tip, and they also come with a brush tip. I'm gonna bring them out just in case, and I have to remind myself I'm going to speed this process up 8 times. So I can take my time on this. I don't have to go fast. There's no big rush. If you guys get bored and you get interested again later on, you can come back and turn it on. I don't have to go fast. So my brother will play guitar for you. I will draw on top of this thing and see if I can't make some slight improvements. And when I'm finished, I'll show it all to you. And I'll be back. Have fun watching. Okay, guys, I believe I'm done. I see some things. Oh, I see some things that I forgot to take care of. I really wanted to use some of those magic markers, but I need a break from this. I need some distance from this canvas to find out if I really need what I think I need. But let's talk about what I've done here. Here, let's put a little gold dot right there. Let's talk about what I've done here. Okay, so okay, guys, I believe I've done all of the things that I know to do to this piece. There's a lot of stuff that I would do differently if I were to do it over again, but I'm mostly kind of happy with what I've done here. I don't know how well this gold shows up. It's a little bit shiny from my end. I think I should write my name on this. Let's see where I can do that. Let's write it right here. I can get it to write on the paint. Okay, I've written my name in an unusual place. Let's take a look at this thing. Maybe I can diagonal it like I did before. Maybe I can diagonal it like I did before on the other canvas. Probably doesn't fit that well. Anyways, I goldened some things. I leafed some things. There's a lot about this that I would do differently, but I had an awful lot of fun making this thing. This was awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Look at what we did together, and you guys were part of it because you always are, and I really appreciate you. So, as usual, my usual goodbye is that my name is Cherie Burlington. I'm an artist and an errant, and an errant is a troublemaker, just so you know. An angel mom, which means my son is in spirit, and I have been making YouTube videos with you guys since January, and it's wicked fun, and I'm so glad I started it, and to hell with privacy. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again. See ya. Bye.